And as an athlete all my life, it's I can relate to your initial experience. You know, as a aspiring professional basketball player, that's when I got onto raw food, and I noticed that when I went through the initial detoxification process, my body started to tailor down like exponentially. And at that time, I didn't really know what was going on. All I knew was that there was really no way around it. I tried to sideline my training. I tried to lift more weights, and I just kept feeling more tired. And you know, I kept breaking down, and I think a lot of people experience this. So my next question is that, can you explain the difference between an anabolic raw food approach, or you know, a naturalistic approach at least, and a catabolic approach?
I'm so glad to get that question, because there's a kind of belief system out there that you can, starve your way to excellence. And
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. And of course, a lot of athletes, they simply have physiological demands that exceed the average person that just wants to go through a detox or whatever it happens to be. And so I think there's four stages that you can look at. There's release, which is releasing the toxins. There's a rebuilding stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a revitalization stage, and when I talk about that's a stage where you really start fine tuning the machine. And then there's a relaxed stage. And what I mean by the relaxed stage is when you start working on the subconscious programming.
Right.
So most people that get attracted to a natural or a raw food diet or even a plant-based diet are usually coming into it in a situation where they're sick, or
Exactly.
they're having some physiological problems. They're having a compromised digestive system. Maybe they're having, depression issues. The host of the illnesses that we deal with today. So what happens is that's the bulk of the educators that are out there, and kudos to them. There's a lot of great information and wonderful things. And what happens is they generally are approaching it from a catabolic. And the catabolic,
Yes.
for people who don't know, is we're going to restrict what we eat. We're going to take out all the toxins that we could potentially eliminate from the diet. We're going to get like ultra refined pure, and that's great, and only eat the marginal amount of things. And as they start to release the toxins out of their system, I believe that requires a considerable increase in enzymatic activity. And what happens is the body starts to metabolize muscle and converting into enzymes in order to fulfill the metabolic processes in the body. One of the big challenges in the raw food diet for athletes, I'm referring to athletes here, is they don't get enough amino acids to fill their muscle tissue up. And they start catabolizing the muscle tissue that they have. And of course, many athletes who switch to the diet, I get emails virtually every week. Somebody's emailing me from some part of the globe of like, wait, I went on this raw food diet. I lost 20 pounds of muscle. I can't lift weights or whatever. And they've gone through this process and they're terrified. And then of course, all the psychological programming that they had now becomes true.
Right.
That's a whole other topic. So literally your subconscious belief systems control catabolic and anabolic responses. So if I've been conditioned for 25 years that I've got to eat, five plates of meat a day, or 300 grams of meat a day, or 250 grams, or whatever that number is, or this much weight, well, and I stop doing that, my subconscious is going to start working on my response, and I am going to go catabolic. And there's also things like protein turnover ratios inside the body. If you eat a lot of protein, your body turns over a lot of protein, and it takes a little bit of time for the body to acclimatize to essentially get more efficient on extracting the amino acids it requires for building muscle or repairing tissue from high performance sports. So that's kind of a long-winded thing. So where I differ is when I make transitions for people who are in the athletic environment. First off, I take in a significantly higher amount of plant-based protein, and I usually follow a tapering process. So if they're coming in at, a 200-pound athlete and they're doing 200 grams a day, we're going to taper those guys to, probably start them off around 130, 140 at 140 grams, and taper them over a process till we get them down to maybe 100 grams, and which is about half their protein requirements. And then what we do is we also pump them full a little bit of cultured enzymes, very strong protease-based enzymes, so that they're not catabolizing their tissue, muscle tissues, and they continue to maintain that high level of performance as their body rids toxicity and as their body improves efficiency. So we're able to minimize that transitionary effect, and then depending on the condition of the athlete, the age and stuff like that, they start to notice, usually within 3 to 6 months, that their performance now goes to the next level, particularly related to dealing with lactic acid and anaerobic and threshold. In other words, they can get a peak, they can maintain a higher level at an anaerobic tissue that's without oxygen, and they recover much faster. So the level of muscle soreness or delayed onset muscle soreness or lactic acid that I have to deal with compared to athletes who consume a meat-based diet or a highly meat-based diet is radically different, which allows me to train more often, more frequently, and have less